What's up guys, welcome back. This is Anime Crossover. You'll be watching What If Naruto Was a Kryptonian in Marvel Part 4. Now let's begin. Naruto skillfully intercepted Zeus's attack with Zenith, causing a powerful shockwave that shattered the ground beneath them. The impact left Zeus with additional fractures on his skin, which started emitting steam. "What have you done?" Naruto inquired about his unexpected display of powers, seeking an explanation for abilities he wasn't supposed to possess. Zeus confidently declared himself as the supreme deity of this world. Naruto forcefully seized Zeus by the throat and swiftly brought him down to the ground. He struck Naruto in the chest with a jolting lightning bolt that felt unsettling. Naruto was struck by lightning, which caused a sharp sensation, but his ability to adapt quickly resolved the issue. Naruto observed his bolt trembling inexplicably. Zeus attempted to attack Naruto, but Naruto skillfully defended himself, causing sparks to fly and cracks to appear on Zeus' body. The intense pain caused Zeus to scream and his body to contort even further. He delivered a forceful blow to his face, causing it to distort and dislodge several teeth from his mouth. His blood seemed to possess an unusually potent corrosive quality, as it scorched the ground upon contact. Naruto recalled Hera's warning about the catastrophic consequences that would ensue if he failed to eliminate his adversary. Naruto attempted to strike Zeus in the chest. However, Zeus unleashed a formidable attack at Naruto, causing everything in its path to disintegrate. Naruto managed to successfully defend against it. Nevertheless, it struck the 9th Makluan ring. Naruto attempted to absorb the energy. Nevertheless, it continued to enter the ring. Zeus transformed the powerful blast into a focused beam, which was then absorbed by the target. Zeus was in excruciating agony as his entire being transformed into a viscous mass that appeared ready to explode. "The power that he possesses is not his own," Hera shouted. "Terminate him immediately." Naruto disregarded the ring and swiftly struck his opponent in the chest, causing them to dissolve into a viscous substance. He then delivered a powerful blow to their head, resulting in some discomfort in Naruto's knuckles. The ring was struggling to handle the overwhelming amount of energy it was absorbing, even after expending all available resources into the Phantom Zone. A portal suddenly appeared, engulfing Naruto and his companions, Jean and Hera. Despite the protective bubble surrounding them, they were all being irresistibly drawn into the unknown void. He firmly planted his feet into the ground, his attention drawn to Zeus' spear. It seemed to be deactivated, resembling a golden bow staff. Without hesitation, he secured it to his back. In the bubble where Jean and Hera were, Naruto noticed that despite her injuries, she was determined to speak. However, he could see that she was exerting herself greatly in the process. They entered the portal together, holding onto the bubble as it gradually disappeared. They were in extreme agony and filled with fear as they started to lose their faculties. Naruto made every effort to ensure the safety of Jean and Hera. He observed the portal and noticed that it appeared to be more of a crack than anything. Jean's mind was filled with confusion and anguish as he wondered what was happening. "I am uncertain," Naruto replied, feeling a deep sense of anguish as his entire being was ripped apart. He observed Hera, who appeared to be unconscious, her face contorted in a soundless expression of terror. Naruto created a protective barrier around themselves, providing a brief respite as the energy rapidly dissipated. He utilized his expertise to enhance the bubble, and it appeared to be even more effective. However, the drain became overwhelming as Naruto observed his core depleting rapidly. He attempted to utilize the energy in the Phantom Zone, but it had a distinct, subdued quality. "Look," Jean said softly. Naruto glanced in the direction she was pointing and noticed a dazzling light. After a few moments, they arrived at their destination, colliding with it and producing a sound reminiscent of shattering glass. They arrived in an alleyway, where everything appeared to be ordinary. Naruto pondered the possibility that perhaps they were transported back to their own world through some kind of portal. He glanced at Jean and noticed that she was unconscious, just like Hera. He attempted to tap into the zone for energy, but it seemed to be frustratingly out of reach. He was unable to utilize it for power. The crimson energy remained unchanged. Naruto was taken aback by the unexpected connection he felt when encountering the Speed Force. In his perception of it, it appeared as a taut string on the verge of breaking, extending into an unfamiliar realm. "It's concerning that my core is almost empty, and I'm completely disoriented. On the bright side, my solar energy reserves appear to be intact. However, I can't help but notice that my adaptation process is slower than usual," I muttered to myself, attempting to regain composure. I focused my senses, listening and observing through walls in an effort to gather any clues about my location. After Naruto took the necessary steps to ensure the safety of both Jean and Hera, his attention was immediately drawn to the television in the bar a few streets away. A man dressed in a white and red suit with an emblem on his chest descended from the sky, resembling James Jonah Jameson with his distinctive mustache. The man began to speak, captivating the onlookers. James, a voice resembling Jonah Jameson, claimed to have faced unimaginable challenges in order to protect this world. They have fought against alien tyrants, conquered deep-sea nightmares, and even confronted ancient gods. Regardless of the challenges he encountered, he understood that he had a team of formidable individuals by his side. Today, we mourn the loss of these extraordinary individuals, titans, protectors, and heroes, who have left us to ponder their absence. Who will come to their rescue? I will do so, and others will also step up like new heroes answering the call. Driven by a deep sense of purpose, the new heroes are prepared to go to great lengths to ensure the continued inspiration of this planet, drawing inspiration from the remarkable individuals who paved the way for them. You may experience moments of doubt, fear, and uncertainty, but during those times, it is important to have faith and seek solace in the vastness of the sky. He concluded by soaring into the sky. Naruto perused through the commentary at the bottom, specifically focusing on Omniman's eulogy for the Guardians of the Globe. However, a burning question occupied Naruto's thoughts. Who is a highly skilled and experienced individual. One day later, the story continues. Naruto Pav, how do you feel? I asked Jean. Jean, clearly in agony, stated, I feel like someone ignited all of my nerves and then put alcohol to heal my wounds. As a goddess, Hera was able to recover despite her severe wounds, and I watched as she lay unconscious. Seeing as how she was recovering at least 4 times quicker than a healthy person, I felt compelled to provide her a hand with her recovery, since her wounds were too serious for her to handle on her own. She was hurt badly, with a shattered arm and a serious cut on the other. A shattered bone protruding from one of her legs was plainly visible. Even though I had bandaged her up as best I could, I still couldn't cure the severe gashes on her, so I turned to magic. To afford this inexpensive hotel stay, I had to withdraw cash from an ATM. Nearby, at a drugstore, I picked up a few medical items. We have arrived in this new globe and are now in Baltimore. Building a castle out of a sunstone crystal is taking forever since, for some reason, my core isn't charging up as quickly as it used to. Thankfully, it is still usable, albeit I must use caution while using it. Since my core regenerates slowly right now, I am healing Hera periodically. Since I measured how quickly Omniman travels around Earth, my main worry is that someone on this planet has equipment that can detect my spacecraft. I have the option to flee, but I refuse to abandon these two. Just stay here for a bit. We all need some rest, even if you don't have to sleep, Jean added, her final words directed at Hera, who seemed to be asleep at the moment. I see your point. As she seemed to be exerting herself to remain awake, I informed her that we should get some rest and figure out how to return home after a while. After softly kissing her, I lay her down. Rest assured, I will be returning home soon, I reassured her, attempting to convey my intention to return home. I take a flight as soon as I open the window. In the event that someone attempts to break in while she is sleeping, I seal the window behind me and use a spell to send an alert. I scowl as I realize the spell is much weaker and won't even last 9 hours, much alone a whole day. I scowl and then launch myself into space, where I will perch on a satellite. I could feel my core heating up quicker as the sun's rays were supplying me with greater strength. Sitting on satellite in space is not the way I saw my life going, I thought. Omniman, who is he? I started searching every corner of the planet for him, however, I stopped. He seems to be a hero. I don't intend to spy on him, but I figure he won't be a problem until my base of operations is up and running. While thinking about it, I started transforming a sunstone into a pseudo-castle crystal, but the process is going slowly. The quantity of supplies required is now causing me some concern. After that, the 7th Makluan ring came to mind. After absorbing a great deal of energy, the 9th Makluan ring opened the gateway that led us here, so I started to examine it. Since the Guardians of the Globe are novel, Omniman may be useful, but something about him feels odd. Perhaps it was the overcharging that sent us to a different realm or multiverse. I reasoned. I assumed he was super strong, could fly, move super fast, and carry very heavy items without breaking them based on his comments about fighting many powerful monsters. As I recalled Zeus's bolt, I thought, either he is an alien or a super soldier experiment. Either way, I need to investigate this because I am definitely not alone in this new world. I took out Zeus's lightning bolt from my back. Fortunately, I took precautions to ensure that others wouldn't notice how strangely dressed we are. The bolt seemed to have been significantly weakened. I retrieved Zenith because I could still sense its strength, albeit it seemed muted for some reason. Since my talents may have changed, I need to determine my current level of strength to determine whether I am indeed in a different universe. Something started to shift in my adaptation process, but that was about it. I'm not sure how to assess my adaptability at the moment, but I'll figure it out. Being fully engrossed in his thoughts, I could hear Hera gradually awakening. It's about time I found out how Zeus became so strong. As soon as Hera caught sight of Jean and me, she sprang up from her bed in apparent agony and started to stumble to the floor. I entered the room and found her surveying the area. I used my telekinesis to catch her and stop her from falling. "Calm down, Hera." In an effort to reassure her, I told her, if we wanted it, you would be dead already. Unfortunately, my words backfired, and she immediately started struggling to get free. "The one without a future is you." She shrieked in terror as she described me as the one Zeus wanted to kill. "Unless you provide us with a valid cause, we will not harm you." I uttered the last sentence to divert her attention, but I regretted it when I saw the expression of terror in her eyes as she started to weep. We are interested in learning how Zeus gained superhuman strength and used powers that were never his. As I watched Jean struggle to comprehend my ideas, I couldn't help but wonder, if Hera is crying, then what did Zeus do to make her cry? Holding Hera's shoulders, I seized her. "What did Zeus do?" She gazed into my eyes and nodded to herself, seeming to cool down a little while I asked her politely. "Zeus, he started capturing gods to steal their domains so he could kill you," she added, her voice trembling as she recounted me the story before pausing to collect herself. "He started with Demeter and pounded her until she collapsed, causing her breath to escape so he could beat her even more," Hera added, her tears flowing freely as she mourned her sister's death. "That explains the vines," Naruto thought. He then continued with some of the other gods most escaped as Heracles or Hercules stalled Zeus in order to let the others escape as I was poisoned by the venom of the Hydra and some other potent poisons. I couldn't help anyone before Hades sneaked his way into Olympus, she said with a voice that was shaking as she explained the story. "His power is explained by that, despite the fact that Hercules is said to possess the same physical strength as Zeus and that, according to the myths, Hera nursed him when he was a baby. I'm still confused as to whether he inherited his strength at birth or acquired it via nursing. I know some of the other gods left to go to other pantheons in order to get away from Zeus' lust for power and to keep the world from being overtaken by those called Skrulls." She took a moment to breathe. "I don't know how many escaped, and when Hades arrived at Olympus he stayed there for a while in order to help others escape. By that point Zeus was completely entranced in getting stronger and the poisoning started slowing down little by little and it allowed me to recover some of my strength." She was becoming weary of talking, and it hurt her to do so. She squirmed in fear as I started to heal her magically, but eventually, she calmed down. "When Hades found me I knew he was more powerful than before as he has some of the domains of other gods, but from what he told me is that he borrowed them for a short time as we were the only ones left who disagreed with him in Olympus. We managed to get some of the poison that he used on me and allowed us to fight against him before Hades managed to beat him, but then you showed up and you know the rest," said the goddess. "My question is, why is she being so forthright about?" I glanced at her face for a moment before I understood, shocked. "But why? Hold on a second. Hera, the way that Zeus got the domains, how did he do it?" I asked her. "He ripped the domains by destroying the physical body and their consciousness before absorbing their essence," she added, her sobs becoming louder. I could see she was still reeling from the events of the past since she told me everything. As she began to feel better, I put her to bed and quickly put her to sleep so that I could tend to her wounds. "I am glad you killed Zeus," Jean said. My attention shifted to her. I said, "I am glad I did it too," before shifting my gaze to Hera. Jump forward 3 days. "What about this one? We have been here for 5 hours now, purchasing clothing since we needed new ones due to our present circumstances, and I overheard Jean asking Hera a question while we were shopping. Hera remarked, "I do like it, but something is missing. She is stunningly gorgeous, and I still don't understand how Zeus got her to marry him. She is dressed in a basic light purple blouse, a blue blazer, and pants that showcase every single one of her curves. I had been accepting money from criminals while I prevented them from committing crimes, which made me understand that this world is even more polluted than the Marvel multiverse, but not as bad as my original one. The crooks are filthy affluent. The first ones I caught had more than $30,000 in cash in their truck. They had drugs, but I merely sent them to space and utilized my thermal vision to get rid of them. My abilities are lower now because, according to my findings, since I am in a whole new universe, my dimension is far away from here. Even when I attempt to utilize energy from it, the time it takes for it to come here is too lengthy. The Speed Force is assisting me in this location since the thread connects me to the Marvel multiverse. Happily, I can still generate Speed Force energy. Maybe I will be able to generate enough to send us back. I attempted to return via the McLuhan rings, but the rings operate under different regulations, and I won't be able to do so until I can gather enough resources to create an appropriate fortress crystal, since I left the emergency one at the original fortress while the data was being moved over to it. I could create one myself, but it would take a long time and patience, and to be honest, I'm thinking about simply obtaining enough money to go back since I don't know anything about this new planet, and leaving any evidence of kryptonian technology is too risky. My adaptation is working hard to let me to utilize my abilities, and despite my limited control over it, I've managed to get it to relay broad information about the changes that are occurring not just in my body but also in my mind and spirit. The Phantom Zone is also changing since it absorbed certain pieces of me and given it the power to adapt, which means I can utilize the limited access I have to use the talents provided, but I can't walk inside because it isn't actually there. This new universe may include creatures that I am ignorant of. Therefore, I have to be ready at any moment to unleash my inner Batman on this planet, beginning with Omniman. I checked into Omniman's past on Earth, and he is a hero, yet something about him makes me nervous. I'm not sure whether he has X-ray vision or anything, but I can tell he doesn't absorb sun energy and is naturally that strong. I discovered that he is married and has a kid named Mark, whose abilities just surfaced. I haven't found anything that has pushed him to his limits, therefore, it's reasonable to conclude that nothing on Earth can kill him to my knowledge. Hacking into the world's governments was simple. Even though I built a computer capable of doing hundreds of thousands of computations per second, it still took me a few hours of reading. I memorized everything I read, even their armaments, which can currently destroy the Earth if one goes off. They were designed to kill Omniman if he goes renegade. I also saw that the government is searching for heroes to take on the role of Guardian of the Globe in order to maintain peace. I'm thinking of joining them. Maybe I can call Omniman to keep an eye on him and find a method to go home since the Speed Force may not be sufficient. I'm thinking of having another plunge in the sun to ensure that I can protect both Jean and Hera. Omniman stated he battled ancient gods so they could be around here as well, although I'm not sure how strong they are. Even with the energies in my core, I want to be sure I'm ready for anything. I discovered that Omniman is a Viltrumite who was sent to Earth to guard it. I have no clue whether this is true, but I'll take it with a grain of salt. Hey, come on, we are going to another shop, Jean remarked, interrupting my thoughts and giving me additional goods to carry. Okay, let's go, I murmured, feeling fatigued mentally. Oh, come now, surely it is that bad, Hera remarked, handing me a bag and taking something from it. I never went shopping to a store before as my outfits were made by hand in Olympus and I didn't have a chance to experience something like this, she added while chewing a few chips that she purchased. We started going to another shop. Jean and Hera were conversing, and although Hera seemed calmer than before, she remained wary near us. As I strolled beside Jean and Hera, I saw them conversing and Jean explaining the various clothing they had purchased. Things could go a little sluggish in the tale since from the moment Omniman delivered his speech, a few weeks elapsed until anything exciting occurred. Time skip. 1 week later, so your powers are nearly gone? I questioned Hera once again since we had been attempting to figure out how weak our abilities were for a week while improving our living circumstances. I have full access to my kryptonian skills, and Zenith as well. My core is okay since it continues to create Speed Force and Crimson energies, as well as conventional magic, but it takes much longer to replenish itself. My adaptability is working hard to make me as strong as I was earlier. My godly abilities are all null thankfully. I am still much stronger than a regular human and I can heal even faster than one, but it does take time, and since I am no longer connected to my domains since you explained where we are, I am no longer under the effects of them vanishing, Hera said with a nod. I glanced to Jean, who was doing her hardest to utilize her strength to fly but couldn't raise herself higher than a few inches. She was straining to concentrate more and more until I realized her nose was bleeding steadily. Jean, stop, you are hurting yourself. I warn her as I grasp her and call a little of water to wipe her nose and heal her. We are a little distance from the city since we wanted to practice our abilities. A new hero, Mark Grayson, who calls himself Invincible, is going around helping people, and when I used my X-ray vision on him, I was amazed at his DNA, as I can only assume that his Viltrumite DNA is becoming more dominant, absorbing the best aspects of his human half due to their compatibility. I did observe something really intriguing, and that his ears may be his vulnerability, as I noted that when he flew away, his ears assisted him in flying, and they are incredibly sensitive, making them a probable weakness. After making sure Jean was okay, I transported the three of us to the flat so they could both relax. Jean, Hera, I'm going to be helping people for a while, I remarked, and they nodded. Jean fell asleep while Hera walked to the shower. I flew out, stopped some criminals, and looted. As I walked around, I heard a scream emanating from a local school and saw a cyborg wreaking havoc. I hope this doesn't become a theme. I flew over, and when I arrived, I rescued someone named William, as someone cried his name. As the cyborg released him, I clutched its arm and saw someone swiftly approaching me. Leave, now, I yelled to William as Invincible approached me and took a combat posture that reflected his inexperience. Thank you for rescuing him. Who are you, anyway? I can see you're not a terrible man, he murmured to me, cautiously approaching me. Don't worry, I am on your side, I said to him as I prepared to conquer this beast. I peeked inside and saw that he was still alive. Invincible walked over to fight it, and I followed him swiftly. If I'm correct, break his joints. Someone did this to him, I informed Invincible, who paused and stared at me as the cyborg attacked him from behind. I instantly helped remove the cyborg off of him and promptly shattered one of his legs as he screamed. I used my mental talents to put him to sleep, but I discovered that he was controlled by a partly computer. I short-circuited it, and he fell asleep. How did you do that, and what do you mean someone did this to him? He said as I yanked off his helmet. I don't know, but I will find out, I said to him, staring in horror at what had happened to this person. His corpse is deteriorating, and he has died, but the life support system is forcefully keeping him alive. Do you have any way to try to figure out who did this? I asked him, upset at the person who did this. Maybe, but I'm not sure who you are. I can't just trust you like that, he remarked with caution towards me. I am Superman, I said sarcastically, and he chuckled slightly. Really, that is what you came up with trying to imitate my doll? I mean trying to imitate Omniman, really dude, he added with a giggle. Where's Mark? We've heard a voice asking the person named William. I apologize, Amber. I thought he was with you, William said. I am sorry, I will see you later, okay? Invincible stated as he departed in a haste for what I can presume is to change. I peeked into Amber's head since I was interested because she kept staring toward where Invincible, or rather Mark, was standing a few seconds before, angry. Why the fuck did he abandon us to go put on his costume instead of protecting us? He changed and was humiliated by this guy. I stopped looking into her thoughts when one conclusion occurred to me. She is a bitch. I felt sorry for Mark having to deal with her. I observed Mark coming towards us at high rates before slowing down and panicking when he realized I spotted him traveling so quickly. I returned my gaze to Amber and William, who had turned to face Mark. Where the fuck were you? Amber yelled at Mark, which seemed more like a tantrum to me. I stared at Mark, feeling sorry for him. He likes her, doesn't he? I noticed as I wanted to facepalm myself. You lying piece of shit, Amber said in a tone that made me want to strike something. No, this isn't what it looks like. Mark attempted to negotiate his way out of her rage. You took off, you left us here with that thing, Amber said. Amber, no, that's not what happened, Mark said. You said you wanted to start over, you said that you promised Eve and Eve vouched for you and then you do this. Eve was wrong about you. So was I, Amber said as she departed, and I didn't bother reading her thoughts. Wait, Amber, shouted Mark at first, but then stopped himself as he recognized me and swallowed. I'll see you in the sky in 5 minutes, I muttered something clumsily, but not loud enough for others to hear. I have to, he started and then glanced at where Amber was heading and then at his buddy, William, as he walked away with a man. He released a sigh of resignation as he nodded. I'll see you there, he said in a disheartened tone of voice as I flew above. However, before I ascended too high, I overheard someone. This is the final occasion I allow someone to retain their frontal lobe. I observed the individual and was taken aback by their decision to retrieve the helmet. I promptly activate a sophisticated tracking device to monitor his movements. After a span of 6 hours, I have been waiting here for a long time. Out of nowhere, a sense of unease washed over me. I disregarded it, but then I shifted my attention towards locating Mark. I started searching for Mark throughout the city under my watchful eye, and to my surprise, I discovered him engaged in a fierce battle with a massive white humanoid wolf. Without hesitation, I swiftly flew towards him, observing that he was clearly struggling and at a disadvantage. Among the others, the wolf stood out as the strongest since I dedicated my attention solely to him. I enter the scene abruptly, witnessing the wolf forcefully pushing Mark aside. Without hesitation, I swiftly strike the wolf with a powerful punch, causing it to let out a piercing scream and soar through the air. However, it manages to regain control by grabbing onto the ground. "Let's see if you can prove your skills," he expressed frustration towards me as I quickly glanced at Mark, noticing that his injuries were already starting to heal. I then sent a soothing orb of healing energy to aid in his recovery, all while sensing a growing sense of unease. He approached me aggressively with his weapon while I calmly brandished my own. Our clash of weapons created a dazzling display of sparks. Zenith swung his mace with precision, a look of surprise crossing his face before he let out a low growl. "What are you doing standing around? Kill him already," exclaimed a voice, catching my attention. I turned to see the speaker, a robot, urging action. The wolf firmly grasped my arm, swiftly pulling me in a surprising manner. I was impressed by his strength as he effortlessly threw me to the ground. He relentlessly tried to stomp on me, but I quickly reacted by grabbing his foot and delivering a powerful punch to the back of his knee. As he stumbled forward, I seized the opportunity to grab his face and forcefully slammed him into the ground. Just then, I noticed some people descending from the ceiling, while Mark somehow managed to regain his footing. Someone reached out to Cecil with an anonymous call, but rest assured, we are here to provide assistance, said the armored individual as they confidently approached. I am here to support you, or at least support Invincible, I said, attempting to prevent a potential misunderstanding. He nodded as the wolf returned, attempting to strike me from behind. However, I swiftly reacted by delivering a punch to his face, causing him to be propelled out of the building. "I am Superman, nice to meet you," I stated confidently as I heard the wolf scaling the building and swiftly burst through the ground. This individual is quite persistent. I felt a bit frustrated at this point. "Let's go," said the armored individual, whom I recall as a former member of the original Guardians of the Globe. "Thank you for your assistance," said confidently, expressing gratitude and a hint of remorse for keeping me waiting for hours. "We can address that later. Right now, let's prioritize this," I said. I have a nagging sensation that I may have overlooked something. I approached the wolf with precision, engaging in a fierce exchange of blows. The impact of our fists reverberated through the air, while my well-executed kick landed squarely on his chest, resulting in a forceful expulsion of blood. "I will take care of this large wolf," I confidently stated. "I have realized the need to step up my game and take my training seriously. It's time for me to become the best version of myself and fully harness all of my powers." I utilized my frost breath to impede his progress and deliver a forceful blow, causing minor shockwaves with each strike. Meanwhile, I couldn't help but notice the remarkable resilience of the building, which withstood such significant damage. As I examined the construction of this building, another realization struck me, becoming impossible to overlook. What is this unsettling sensation? Naruto's perspective. I am engaging with the wolf, gradually increasing my strength to gauge the force required. It is astonishing to witness the wolf enduring my strikes, as they make contact with its face. In the midst of the ongoing battle, I continue to engage with the wolf, skillfully evading its attacks and delivering precise punches, all in an effort to sharpen my senses. I am engaging with him, but he appears to be catching on as he lets out a roar. "Challenge me with your utmost strength and bestow upon me a magnificent demise. Demonstrate my worthiness of my talent," declared the colossal wolf. Upon further consideration, I realized that I may need to take decisive action, as it seems he will persist indefinitely. I aggressively engage with him, and he swiftly throws a punch that clearly packs a powerful impact as our blows collide, causing me to experience intense pain. I sensed some reservation in his previous response. I wondered to what extent he was holding back. This individual is causing me considerable discomfort and my recovery process is still progressing at a slower pace, although I am still in the healing phase. He confidently raised his mace forward, while I skillfully prepared Zenith, transforming it into the shape of a longsword. With precision and skill, I deftly maneuvered my blade to intercept the head of his mace. Applying steady pressure, I swiftly rendered Zenith's weapon useless. "May I ask who you are and what you need assistance with?" he said as he took a step back, and I could sense his enthusiasm for the upcoming confrontation. "I go by the name Superman, as I am a Kryptonian," I calmly stated to him, while remaining vigilant. "I have never encountered a Kryptonian before, but witnessing your immense power, any of them would make formidable opponents," he exclaimed with even greater enthusiasm. "Tell me, is there someone older than you? From what I can tell, you still seem quite young. An adult Kryptonian would provide a better challenge," he continued. "Oops, what have I done? Oh, never mind. I must clarify that, to the best of my knowledge, I am the sole remaining individual of my species," I informed him, ensuring accuracy in my statement. Very well," he said as I readied myself for another round of combat. "I will patiently await your growth before engaging in our battle," he expressed with a mix of disappointment and anticipation. "I will continue to work towards improving myself for our upcoming battle," he said before disappearing in a teleportation. "That person was supposed to eliminate all of you. How infuriating," the robot at the desk shouted angrily. "You seem upset," I said, teasing him. "Excuse me," he yelled at me. "No, thank you. I am not interested," I politely stated, causing him to teleport away in annoyance. "Thanks," said Invincible, approaching me as everyone else, except those who teleported away, had already been subdued. "Please hold on for a moment, I'll provide further treatment," I assured him, as there were still some bleeding wounds that needed attention. It was crucial to prevent him from losing consciousness due to excessive blood loss. I noticed the sound of a cape rustling in the air and turned my gaze in that direction. There, atop the building, was Omniman, his expression filled with sadness as he looked into the distance. Omniman's perspective: he is confident, and he mentioned that he is a Kryptonian. I am not familiar with that race. However, he did mention being the final one, so removing him might prove challenging, especially considering his ability to combat Battle Beast. The Viltrum Empire is aware of Battle Beast, albeit with limited knowledge. They exercise caution due to his unknown strength. I glanced over at Mark as the individual claiming to be Superman worked on healing him. The mere mention of his name almost brings a smile to my face, as it's clear how much he admires me. Then, I consider something that brings me back to focus. This individual, if given the opportunity to develop, could potentially become a formidable adversary for the Empire. It would have been more appropriate for Battle Beast to have eliminated him. Now I will personally take care of him. I observe as he expertly tends to Mark's injuries, which miraculously heal within a matter of minutes. I will spare him for the time being as a gesture of gratitude for his assistance to Mark. I consider the potential reactions of Debbie and Mark upon discovering the truth. Being on Earth and starting a family of my own was never even a thought when I arrived, but something about Debbie made me fall in love with her. And when we had Mark, my first child in my long life, it was the happiest moment of my life. I am concerned when I realize that the Empire will have an increased interest in this world upon discovering Mark and the remarkable compatibility between humans and our DNA. Based on my findings, it appears that Mark possesses a significant Viltrumite heritage, constituting approximately 60% of his genetic makeup. As he has aged, covert tests conducted by Cecil have revealed that his Viltrumite DNA has been progressively overpowering his human DNA. This has led to a theory suggesting that by the time he reaches the age of 30, Mark will have fully transitioned into a Viltrumite. However, his powers developed much later. Such a matter was not even considered by the Empire, but if they were able to seize control of this world, it would greatly aid in the Empire's recovery. Other races may present more challenges, resulting in individuals who may face unique experiences throughout their lives. It should bring me joy that the Empire is expanding and regaining its strength, but for some reason, I can't shake this feeling that something is amiss. Naruto's perspective: I apologize for not informing your girlfriend about our meeting, Mark said as we navigate through the sewers in search of the individual responsible for creating the cyborgs. Yeah, she was upset, but after I provided an explanation of the situation, she became more composed. It's disheartening to witness someone of such intelligence transforming others into monstrous beings, I expressed with a hint of frustration, having dedicated considerable time to studying them in order to expedite the cyborg conversion process. You said DA Sinclair, right? Mark inquired professionally. Yes, it took some time, but I was able to discover some of his research papers. After that, I recognized his voice and discreetly followed him to his apartment. I must admit, discussing this situation makes me feel a bit uncomfortable, I confessed, aware of the implications. It seems that We paused as we observed a cyborg standing at a distance, with another one in the water and another one above us. I gestured to Mark, signaling him to hold back from pursuing the individual we spotted in the tunnel ahead. "Hold on, there are two more," I quietly informed him, pointing out the figure in the water and the one creeping above. He focused his gaze on the water, observing its mysterious movements as if someone lurked beneath its surface. "You take care of the one in front of us, and I'll handle the other one. Let's go," I said, gently urging him towards the one in the sewer pipe. Swiftly, I make my way towards the one on top, while simultaneously freezing the one in the water. I can see and hear Mark engaging in combat with the other one. I swiftly disable the areas surrounding the limbs to render them immobile, and I observe Mark struggling in his current situation. However, I promptly discern the situation at hand. I became aware. "Break the areas where they connect to their flesh areas," I shouted with determination. I swiftly immobilized the two cyborgs I was holding in blocks of ice as screams echoed from the tunnel where Mark was engaged in combat. "Something significant is occurring to someone in need, and I am here to assist," I informed him after successfully aiding him in handling the cyborg and immobilizing it. "I will accompany you," he stated, and I acknowledged his words with a nod. "Follow me," I said, heading towards the cries that resembled those of a young girl. We started racing in the tunnel and soon noticed a room with lights on. "There," I stated, entering the room. I quickly reacted and grabbed a handsaw that was dangerously close to cutting into William's arm. Despite his panicked screams, I remained focused on preventing any harm. Sinclair came to a halt as the handsaw abruptly snapped while attempting to cut through my hand, resulting in its complete destruction. "Who are you?" he shouted in surprise as I swiftly grasped his throat, while a group of additional cyborgs approached. I released my grip on Sinclair and swiftly incapacitated them, rendering their limbs immobile. Even the individual with an intact arm was not spared. With precision, I froze them in place and swiftly caught them before they could make contact with the ground. "You are turning people into monsters," I exclaimed, filled with anger towards him. "Monsters? I am dedicated to advancing humanity's progress in overcoming diseases and mortality," he manages to utter before I gently tap his jaw, causing it to break, and I swiftly bring him down to the ground. As I search through his computer, my frustration grows with each passing moment, until something catches my attention: his initial experiments. I began reviewing the initial files while Mark and William stood by my side. We observed for several minutes until he made his fourth attempt at creating his reaniman. Witnessing the distressing scene, he proceeds to secure a young girl, who appears to be around 6 years old, onto a table. He then retrieves a set of tools while the girl pleads for her parents, her cries echoing in the room. Without hesitation, Sinclair proceeds to amputate her left arm, followed by her left leg. Before long, he places a mysterious metal object into the fresh wound, causing smoke to rise as it sears into her stump. I paused the video and closed my eyes, feeling the intense heat emanating from my vision. I turn around and notice Sinclair attempting to crawl away. As I open my eyes, they emit a vibrant red glow, while my body becomes enveloped in a shimmering yellow lightning. Gradually, the lightning transforms into a deep crimson hue, accompanied by the emergence of a smoky crimson mist. I inflict severe damage to his left arm, causing him to scream in agony. "Stop, don't harm him." While it may be tempting to eliminate this individual, our efforts should be directed towards providing support and closure to the families he has devastated. As much as I desire to eliminate this person, it would be more beneficial for him to experience the consequences of his actions, Mark said, his voice filled with emotion as he continued to gaze at the paused video, deep in thought. "You were acquainted with that girl," I said to him. "I do, or did. She lived on the same street as I do. She went missing a few weeks ago," he said, his voice filled with emotion. Tears streamed down his face, and I noticed his fingers tightly clenched, blood trickling from his palms. I turned my attention to Sinclair, tending to his injuries with precision. Although I ensured he would survive, it is unfortunate that his leg will never fully recover. As I set the bone, I couldn't help but notice the pain etched on his face before he succumbed to unconsciousness. In that moment, I reached out to him, speaking directly into his mind. "This is just a small taste of what I have in store for you. Consider it a promise," I conveyed to him silently. 1 hour later, Naruto's perspective, I meticulously reviewed all of his work, creating a duplicate and securely saving it on a USB drive that I quickly obtained from a store. "So you are tending to his injuries until assistance arrives," said Invincible. "Yes," I said, tending to the injured individual to ensure his survival. However, you mentioned that you were familiar with her, the girl. What was her name? I inquired gently as my strength was restored to me. I plan to analyze the cause of the issue at a later time. Her name was Allison Strider, he said, his voice filled with emotion. I apologize, I said sincerely, for what happened to her. Don't be, it's not your fault. It's his, he said, seething with anger towards Sinclair. As I was about to respond, I noticed the sound of footsteps echoing through the tunnel. To my surprise, a group of soldiers emerged, escorting a man in a suit who bore the marks of a tumultuous past. Gather all available information to determine the exact sequence of events, stated the individual in the suit, whose voice bore a resemblance to that of Nick Fury. I thought they could be friends. What happened here? He asked in a serious tone. Allow me to explain the situation. He proceeded to provide a detailed account of my identity and the events that transpired in this place. After Mark completed his task, Cecil turned to me and made a comment. Fan of Omniman, he said confidently, a hint of amusement playing on his lips. No, my name was inspired by someone else, that's what you need to know, I replied in a composed manner. His expression shifted as he looked at me, and even though I could sense his thoughts, I chose not to delve into them, knowing that he likely had encountered individuals with similar abilities before. He cast a stern gaze in Sinclair's direction. So this is the alleged piece of poor quality, he remarked. Yes, Mark and I said simultaneously. He started using the computer when it occurred to me that he is employed by the government. I promptly approached the computer. I will ensure that this is used as evidence before destroying it. Actually, there's no need to apologize for my actions. I am determined to eliminate as much of his research as possible, while still leaving behind sufficient evidence for Sinclair's conviction, I informed him, swiftly turning around to commence the thorough erasure process. Hey, listen. Despite the fact that what he did was wrong, this technology has the potential to assist us in dealing with future threats, he said, hurrying towards me. Cecil, that's enough, Mark said firmly as I turned to see him standing behind me. He seemed to increase his speed momentarily. I quickly refocused on my task, but my attention was briefly caught by a distant sonic boom. However, I didn't pay it much attention as it seemed to be moving further away. There are certain matters occurring that may be beyond your comprehension. He started to speak before Mark interrupted him. What thing's a girl, was butchered alive, Cecil, and you want to do that to others? What can be so horrible that you would put others through the same thing? Mark said to him with frustration. You wouldn't understand, so please step aside, Cecil said, attempting to assert his authority, while I continued erasing some of it as I went, preparing to hand it over to Cecil. Here you go now, please give us some space, I said to him, making an effort to maintain my composure. What actions did you take? He inquired assertively, but I have no reason to fear him. What we had to Cecil, said Mark, defending me as I nodded to him in gratitude. Then, I suppose I have no option but to apprehend Invincible and Superman. What a ridiculous notion, he commanded his men, who promptly aimed their firearms at us. With the computer in his possession, he turned away. Let's go, Invincible, he is being quite unpleasant, I said to him as we began to leave. Arrogant individual, I am dedicated to making a positive impact on the world, and it is disheartening to see one of the most effective means of self-defense being eliminated. He restrained himself. That's sufficient, he stated to his men as they lowered their firearms. Can I leave now? Asked William, who, in all honesty, couldn't take his eyes off his boyfriend. I had just removed the helmet piece, and William immediately recognized it, choosing to remain silent throughout the entire encounter. Let's go, Invincible, I said to him confidently as I took flight, with him following closely behind. Together, we navigated the tunnels effortlessly, exiting through the same route we had entered. I apologize for his behavior, Mark said as I let out a frustrated sigh. I understand his intentions to safeguard the world, but it's crucial for him to exercise caution and avoid causing unintended harm. We're aware of his immense military power, which I believe I could withstand, but it's not the same for everyone else, I expressed to Mark. Wow, I'm not sure if you're being confident or sincere, but would you like to join me for a meal at my place? He inquired of me. You seem to be handling this situation with composure, I mentioned to him, and I couldn't help but feel a bit uneasy at the moment. I suppose I'm still trying to process everything that just happened, he explained as I nodded in understanding. So, what's the deal with that girl Amber, huh? I asked, attempting to shift the conversation. Well, we unfortunately broke up, he answered with a defeated expression. Perhaps I'll accept your kind invitation to dine at your residence, I informed him, feeling even more uncomfortable than before. I could use some help in enhancing my social skills, especially since Jean and Hera are currently out shopping. Certainly, come with me, he replied with a slight grin. We were engaged in conversation when we arrived at a house, presumably his, that was engulfed in flames, as was a house across the street. Mom, no, Mark exclaimed as he hurried into what I presume is his house, while I assured him that I would take care of the fires. With the help of the blue McLuhan rings, I summoned water and swiftly extinguished the flames. Mark emerged from the house, drenched from head to toe. She's not here, he said, shaking himself off, but I just managed to get rid of the water. Thank you, he stated. Could you assist me in locating her? He practically pleaded with me. Yes, however, have you given a try to? I paused when I heard what was perhaps the most deafening sound I had ever experienced in my 2 lifetimes. What is it? He asked, intrigued by my sudden pause. As I observed the surroundings, my attention was drawn to a remarkable sight. Omniman, standing in a crater with a nosebleed. Omniman has just been attacked by what I believe to be a sound-based orbital weapon. He is currently injured and bleeding, I informed him. What where? He asked assertively. Come with me, I instructed him as we swiftly made our way towards the location of Omniman. I started to sense that something is amiss, but I'm unsure of the cause. Naruto's perspective. Are you confident that we are headed in the correct direction? Consulted Mark. Yes, let's increase the speed as he appears to have caused significant damage and is presently engaged in a Kaiju. What on earth? I exclaimed, and when I looked again, I was taken aback. Wasn't this creature already defeated by Omniman a few weeks ago? It seems like someone has managed to weaponize it. Excuse me? Exclaimed Mark as he started to accelerate once more. We both increased our pace to arrive more quickly, and within a few minutes, we reached our destination. I adjusted my pace to accommodate Mark. As we approached, Mark displayed a remarkable surge of agility upon witnessing Omniman's imminent danger. He swiftly collided with the Kaiju, forcefully dislodging one of its teeth, which soared through the air. Dad, he exclaimed as he caught his father. I heard something coming and turned to see Adam Eve, who paused to answer a phone call. As they started fighting, I saw various medications in the monster's system that made it stronger than before, which solved the issue of how it was able to keep up with both of them. I listened to Eve and Cecil. But I need to help them, Eve said. Do not do that, said Cecil. Get to Guardians HQ, he urged. What, Cecil, she said before he cut her off. Listen to me and do as I say, he instructed her, and she started to go, making me ponder. Mark's cry drew my attention as the Kaiju held him in its teeth and threw Omni-Man to the floor. Damn it, I murmured, going to assist Mark. Just as it was about to bite down on him, I placed my legs on the bottom of its mouth and used my hands to keep it from biting down completely. A second later, I was preventing it from closing its mouth, which required a significant amount of strength because my arms and legs were getting a good workout for the first time. Omni-Man, come over here and get out of here, now, I cried as my muscles started to adjust to the effort, making it easier to elevate its lips. It was nearly dusk, and the little rays of sunshine that we could see through the clouds energized me even more, but I knew it was soon nightfall. I had set up a few mental barriers to prevent me from unleashing my full strength without first eliminating them, so I removed only one, and with the extra power, I easily kept its lips open while using the blue McLuhan ring to create water in its mouth and freeze it. I flew away as Mark and his father swooped down on it and smacked it from above, cracking the ice and spilling some blood. It seems we just pissed it off, Mark said. You don't say, I informed him, facepalming. Cecil sent it after me, said Omni-Man, stopping both of us. What? Why? We asked. Cecil, why would he do that? Asked Mark. There is so much you don't know, Mark, said Omni-Man. Let's deal with this thing first, then we can talk, said Mark as the Kaiju stood up, and we flew over to it. Mark was launched flying into the sky as I sighed and dodged its tentacles, one of which struck Omni-Man as he crashed onto the ground and bounced like a rubber ball. I saw that it was bleeding from its mouth, so I conjured a large quantity of water and tossed it inside. Then I started manipulating the water within it, releasing high-pressure bursts of air from my lips as they penetrated it, and I started freezing its blood. It slowly perished as I froze the blood within its body. Holy crap, you just killed it just like that, Mark said. Yeah, I did. It was too dangerous to be left alive. Also, I saw some human remains on its stomach, I said to him. Well, okay then, he answered, a little deflated. "Let's go check up on your dad," I said him, and as we turned back, we heard a sonic boom followed by what sounded like a fist striking flesh very hard, which repeated many times. "It's immortal, guess the name is correct, but why is he attacking your father?" I remarked, recognizing his outfit. I started hearing chopper blades. "Don't they have anything else to do?" I remarked when I saw the news helicopters. "Invincible, go stop them from fighting. I will be there in a few moments after I get those idiots out of here," I stated as he shook his head and headed over there. I walked over to the helicopters, let everyone out, and dropped the aircraft down. I utilized the Speed Force to transport them to the closest town. Then I flew over to where the three of them were, only to see Omniman sever the immortal in two as Mark and I stared in amazement. Omniman moved closer to Mark. "Mark, we need to talk," he said. I was simply flying there, bracing myself for the worst. "Naruto Pav," I am staring at Mark, who shakes his head. "No," he yelled as he went and attacked his father while I followed them. "Someone is controlling you," Mark said. Dad, tell me how to stop them." "Mark," Omni replied. "Man, let my dad go," Mark said. "Let him go," and went on. "Enough," said Omniman as he grabbed Mark's forearm, whirled him around, and sent him flying a few meters away. "It's me, Mark, just me," he added. "This isn't how I wanted to do this, but I don't have a choice. It's for you to know where I really come from," he said. "I am from Viltrum, but it is not the planet I've told you about. We have built a beautiful civilization, but it required all of our power, drive, and bravery to get there. In order for our people to fulfill their full potential, we had to eliminate the weak from our society. It was a lengthy and terrible process, and our population was reduced by half, but what erupted from the ashes was unstoppable," he told Mark, and I listened and braced for the conflict that I knew was about to start. By the time I was born, Viltrum was already the largest empire in our galaxy, so we decided to make it the only planet in our galaxy. Once I was old enough, I joined the war effort. It was difficult, but I believed in our cause. Some species opposed, of course, but no one could stand up to us for long. Our dominion quickly expanded to include thousands of worlds. But as our domain increased, our armies were stretched thin, and our progress came to a halt. We needed a better, more effective method to conquer planets. Our most trusted officers were each given a planet to weaken by themselves, he added, leaving me wondering how many worlds they captured. I was one of the fortunate ones. I could not explain to your mother why I was here, however. That time is past, and we must now prepare Earth to join the Viltrum Empire, he concluded his narrative. Mark had tears streaming from his eyes. "Mark, this is fantastic news. We can finally do what we were destined to achieve. Be who we are meant to be," he added. "You lied to me," Mark said. "You couldn't know the truth not until I was sure," said Omniman. Mark lifted his head towards his father. "Sure of what?" he asked. "Sure that you were a Viltrumite," he said, placing his hand on Mark's shoulder. Mark shook his father's hand off. "So if I wasn't, I'd just be one more human to conquer. No, this doesn't make any sense. You love me. You love Mom. I know you do." Mark spoke in a broken voice. "Do you have any idea how long we live? As we become older, we age more slowly. Viltrumite DNA is so pure that you may be practically full-blooded and live for thousands of years. Do you know what it means? Everyone you know and love will be gone before you're even 30. This is not something I desire for you. This isn't your planet, it's theirs, but we can assist them. We can end conflicts, eradicate hunger, and provide them with medical technology that is millennia ahead of what they now have. We're already doing it. Without you and me, this world would be on fire," he remarked. Omni-Man flew away from him a little. "I do love your mother, but she's more like a pet to me." "A pet? This is the only way, Mark. Don't touch me," Mark replied, becoming agitated. "Calm down," urged his father. I refused to calm down. "This is ridiculous. What do you think will happen? That I intend to enslave my buddies for a group of aliens I have never met? This is my life. These are my people," Mark remarked, waving behind him. "We have a responsibility to Viltrum," Omni-Man said before Mark stopped him. "I don't give a shit about Viltrum, and I don't care if I live a fucking million years. This is my home and I won't let you destroy it," shouted Mark, squeezing his hands. "You don't know what you are saying, and I can't let you interfere," said his father, narrowing his eyes. "I know exactly what I am saying," Mark remarked as he lifted his hands, "and I prepared myself." "So be it," said his father before delivering a punch at him, which caught him on the chest, and he was swiftly behind him, punching him into the ground. "Do you really think you can stop me?" said his father, and then Mark attempted to strike as he blasted through the earth and struck his father's hand, which he clamped on Mark's fist. "Maybe he can't, but why don't I give it a shot?" I remarked, and he turned to face me. "Forgot you were there," he remarked emotionlessly as he hoisted Mark up and grabbed his leg before slamming him into the ground and sent him flying away. I strike him in the face as he crashes into the ground, leaving a path of open ground as he catches himself and digs his hand into the earth. "I have never heard of any kryptonians, but you said you are the last one, so maybe it's time I make them extinct," he shouted as he pushed himself at me and tried to smash my head off, but I lifted my arm as it struck my forearm, preventing it and sending a shockwave out. I smacked him in the chest, causing a shockwave as he flew into the ground. In a matter of seconds, he shot up dirt, shouted, and came at me with startling speed, and I let him strike me to put something to the test. "I am going to let him strike me in order for my adaptation to help me become stronger," I thought as I widened my eyes at the concept. My adaptation makes me appear like a masochist. When he struck me, I felt agony again, but unlike the enormous wolf, it sent me flying back. I smiled. "He can help me get stronger." Just as he approached me, I seized his fist and hit him in the face, causing a tooth to fall out. He spits blood from his lips as he stares at me. We exchange stares before flying towards one another. Our fists collide, and I feel the jolt go through my arm as we continue striking each other. I didn't care if I was wounded. I was simply striking him as he struck me, and even though it hurt like a bitch, I'm handling it like a champ. He kicked with both of his legs, sending me flying away a little. He started breathing gently as he assumed a combat position. I got into one myself. So this is going to be a talent war, even if I haven't really been giving it my best, I thought. "You are strong," he continued, glaring. "I know," I responded, serious, since I had no knowledge of his fighting ability. This may be a chance for him to gain experience, and he must still be holding back as his strikes became more powerful. I noticed a figure approaching and turned to see Adam Eve, who paused to take a phone call. As they engaged in combat, I carefully observed the monster and noticed the presence of various substances in its system. This discovery shed light on how it managed to enhance its power and keep pace with both adversaries. I paid attention to Eve and Cecil. "But I am determined to assist them," Eve stated. "Please refrain from doing that," Cecil said in a professional manner. "Please proceed to Guardians HQ," he said. "What?" "Cecil," she replied before he interrupted her. "Please pay attention and follow my instructions," he instructed her, and she started to depart, which piqued my curiosity. Mark's scream caught my attention as the kaiju had him in its mouth and Omniman was thrown to the floor. "Oh no," I exclaimed as I rushed to assist Mark. As it attempted to bite down on him, I swiftly positioned my legs at the bottom of its mouth and used my hands to prevent it from fully closing. It required a significant amount of strength to keep its mouth open, providing a much-needed workout for my arms and legs. "Omniman, please come over here and leave immediately," I exclaimed, emphasizing the urgency as my muscles effortlessly adjusted to the exertion, making it easier for me to lift its mouth. It was nearly sundown, and the fading rays of sunlight that managed to break through the clouds filled me with a sense of strength, even as I acknowledged that nightfall was approaching. I had set up some mental obstacles that were hindering me from fully unleashing my abilities. However, I managed to overcome one of them, allowing me to effortlessly keep the creature's mouth open. Utilizing the power of the blue McLuhan ring, I created water inside its mouth and swiftly froze it. I witnessed a scene where Mark and his father descended upon it, striking it from above and causing the ice to shatter, resulting in the spilling of some blood. "It appears we have angered it," remarked Mark. "You don't say," I responded with a facepalm. "Cecil sent it after me," Omni-Man interjected, disrupting our conversation. "Excuse me? Why?" we inquired. "Cecil? Why on earth would he do that?" inquired Mark. "There is a lot of information you are unaware of, Mark," Omni-Man stated. "Let's address this matter first, and then we can discuss," said Mark, as the kaiju began to rise. Without hesitation, we swiftly approached it. Mark was propelled into the sky as I released a sigh, deftly evading its tentacles. Unfortunately, one of them struck Omni-Man, causing him to plummet to the ground and rebound like a rubber ball. I noticed that it was bleeding from its mouth, so I quickly gathered some water and carefully poured it inside. With precision and expertise, I skillfully manipulated the water inside it, unleashing powerful bursts of air from my mouth as it pierced through. Gradually, I proceeded to freeze its blood. With precision and control, I halted the life within its veins. "Wow, you really impressed everyone with that," said Mark. "Yes, I did. It was extremely hazardous and there were even human remains on its stomach," I informed him. "Well, all right then," he said with a hint of disappointment. "We should go and check on your father," I informed him. As we turned around, we were startled by a sudden loud noise, followed by the sound of forceful impacts, which seemed to be occurring repeatedly. "It's quite interesting that the name Immortal seems to be accurate, but I can't help but wonder why he's targeting your father," I remarked, recognizing his distinctive costume. I started to hear the sound of helicopter blades. "Don't they have anything else to do?" I remarked upon observing the news helicopters. "I'll go and put an end to their fighting. I'll join you shortly, once I've dealt with those troublesome individuals," I stated, while he nodded and proceeded to the designated area. I went to the helicopters and successfully rescued the individuals, safely lowering the helicopters afterwards. I utilized the Speed Force to swiftly transport them to the closest town. Then I hurriedly made my way to where the three of them were, only to witness the horrifying sight of Omniman brutally tearing the Immortal apart. Mark and I stood there in utter disbelief, unable to comprehend the shocking act we had just witnessed. Omniman approached Mark. "Mark, we should have a discussion," he said. I was just flying there, mentally bracing for the worst. Naruto's perspective, I observe Mark as he shakes his head. "No," he shouted loudly as he proceeded to strike his father, with me closely behind. "Someone is exerting influence over you," remarked Mark. "Father, please instruct me on how to put an end to their actions." "Mark," Omni said. "Individual, release my father," Mark stated. "Allow him to depart," he proceeded. "That's enough," declared Omni-Man, swiftly seizing Mark by the forearm, swiftly spinning him around, and forcefully launching him several meters away. "It's me, Mark. It's just me," he said. "I didn't plan on doing it this way, but I have no other option. It's important for you to understand my true background," he started. "I come from Viltrum, and I want to share with you the incredible journey we've embarked on to build a remarkable civilization. It required immense strength, determination, and courage for our people to reach their full potential. As part of this process, we made the difficult decision to remove those who were unable to keep up with our progress. It was a challenging and arduous process, but when it finally concluded, our population was significantly reduced. However, what emerged from the aftermath was an unstoppable force," he informed Mark while I listened and readied myself for the impending conflict I anticipate. "When I came into existence, Viltrum had already established itself as the dominant empire in our galaxy. Our goal was to ensure its supremacy as the sole planet in our galaxy. Once I reached the appropriate age, I decided to contribute to the war effort. It was a challenging experience, but my unwavering belief in our cause kept me going. While there were some species that put up resistance, none could withstand our forces for an extended period of time. Before long, our empire had expanded to include thousands of planets. However, as our territory expanded, we faced the challenge of limited resources and halted our conquests. It became clear that we needed a more streamlined and effective approach to continue our expansion into new worlds. Our highly skilled officers were each assigned a planet to strategically undermine on their own," he mentioned, leaving me curious about the extent of their conquests. I was fortunate enough to be one of the select individuals. I couldn't explain the purpose of my visit to your mother. However, that era has concluded, and it is now imperative that we prepare Earth for its integration into the Viltrum Empire," he concluded his story. Mark was visibly emotional, with tears streaming down his face. "Mark, I have some great news to share with you. We can finally pursue our true calling. Be the best version of ourselves," he said. "You deceived me," Mark stated. "You couldn't know the truth until I was certain," said Omni-Man in a confident manner. Mark looked up at his dad. "What are you certain about?" he inquired. "I'm confident in your Viltrumite heritage," he replied, placing his hand on Mark's shoulder. Mark firmly removed his father's hand. "So if I wasn't, I'd just be another person to conquer. But this doesn't make any sense. You love me, you love Mom. I know you do." Mark spoke in a strained voice. "Do you have any idea about the correlation between our lifespan and the rate at which we age as we grow older? Your DNA is of such high quality that you are almost entirely pure-blooded, allowing you to enjoy a lifespan of thousands of years. Do you grasp the concept? Most of the people you know and care about will have moved on by the time you reach 30. I don't think that's what I would recommend for you. This is their world, and we have the ability to assist them in various ways. We can work towards ending conflicts, eradicating hunger, and providing them with advanced medical technology that surpasses their current capabilities. We are already taking care of it. Without our efforts, this planet would be in flames, he stated. Omniman moved away from him slightly. I have a deep affection for your mother, although I see her more as a companion than a partner. A pet? This is the only way, Mark. Please refrain from touching me, Mark said, expressing his frustration. Relax, his father said. I will remain assertive. This is absolutely ridiculous. What do you expect to happen? That I am going to involve my friends in a mission with a group of extraterrestrials I've never encountered. This is my life, these are my people, Mark said, gesturing behind him. We have a duty to Viltrum, started Omni-Man before Mark cut him off. I have no interest in Viltrum and I am indifferent to the length of my lifespan. This planet is my residence, and I am determined to protect it, Mark declared, his fists tightly clenched. You lack knowledge and I cannot allow you to meddle, his father stated, his gaze narrowing. I am confident in my words, said Mark as he raised his fists, and I prepared myself. Very well, his father declared before swiftly delivering a powerful punch to his chest, swiftly followed by another blow that sent him crashing to the ground. Do you honestly believe you can thwart me? His dad sneered. In response, Mark unleashed a furious punch, tearing through the dirt as his fist collided with his dad's palm, only to be swiftly enclosed within his father's grip. Perhaps he is unable to, but I would be willing to give it a try, I suggested as he turned to face me. I didn't realize you were still here, he said in a detached manner as he effortlessly lifted Mark and swiftly incapacitated him, sending him flying through the air. I deliver a forceful blow to his face, causing him to stumble and fall to the ground. The impact leaves a visible mark on the terrain as he quickly regains his balance and firmly plants his hand into the earth. I have never encountered any Kryptonians before, but since you claim to be the last one, perhaps it is time for me to eliminate them entirely. He aggressively lunged at me, attempting to strike my head, but I swiftly raised my arm to block the blow. The impact reverberated through my forearm, creating a powerful shockwave. I delivered a forceful blow to his chest, causing him to be propelled backwards and land forcefully on the ground. Shortly after, he soared into the air, kicking up a cloud of dust as he let out a piercing scream. With astonishing swiftness, he charged towards me, and I willingly allowed him to make contact, all in the name of experimentation. When I widened my eyes at the thought, I realized that embracing challenges can lead to personal growth. It may seem unconventional, but my willingness to endure discomfort is a testament to my determination. When he struck me, I experienced pain once more, and this impact propelled me backwards, unlike the force of the massive wolf. I couldn't help but smile. He has the expertise to assist me in improving my strength. As he approached me, I swiftly defended myself by countering his attack, resulting in a tooth being dislodged. He forcefully expels blood from his mouth while giving me an intense stare. We gaze at each other intently before swiftly moving towards one another. We engage in a fierce exchange of blows, feeling the impact reverberate through our arms with each punch. I didn't mind the pain. I was determined to fight back even though it was incredibly painful. I showed resilience and strength throughout the ordeal. He utilized his legs to forcefully propel me backwards. He assumed a poised position, ready for combat, his breath steady and controlled. I personally experienced it. I thought this would be a battle of skill, even though I haven't been putting in my best effort. You are strong, he said with a stern expression. I understand, I replied, adopting a more serious tone. It's clear that I have limited knowledge of his fighting skill, but this situation could provide a valuable opportunity for me to gain experience. It seems likely that he is still holding back, considering the increasing strength of his hits. With a silent cue, we engaged in a fierce confrontation, embarking on our ultimate challenge. Naruto's perspective, I landed a powerful blow to Omni-Man's chest, sending him soaring through the air. Without hesitation, I swiftly pursued him. He traversed a mountain as Mark apprehended him, but his anger intensified and he forcefully seized Mark by the face, descending towards the ground. However, just in time, I collided with him, causing Mark to slip from his grasp. He struck me forcefully from behind, causing a powerful impact that sent me sprawling to the ground, leaving a noticeable indentation upon impact. I couldn't help but notice his intense display of aggression towards Mark. I quickly approached him and witnessed him forcefully launching Mark into the city. Understanding the potential harm that could be caused, I swiftly moved Mark's father out of the city to ensure the safety of others. Please refrain from interfering, he sternly reprimands me. delivering forceful blows. I calmly swallow the blood that has gathered in my mouth, setting aside any thoughts about clones for now. He keeps striking me, and although my ability to adapt has been slowed, it is still contributing to my strength gains. I deliver a powerful blow as he crashes onto the ground. Without hesitation, I pursue him and launch a relentless attack, gradually increasing the force of my punches to incapacitate him. "That's it," he exclaims forcefully, delivering a powerful punch to my face. In a matter of moments, we find ourselves floating in space, continuing our intense exchange of blows. I skillfully evade his attacks as we resume our battle. I deliver a forceful strike to his chest, but he skillfully defends himself and swiftly seizes one of my legs, following up with a powerful punch to my chest. "Pentagon? Who is he, Cecil?" a woman inquired. "I'm not sure, Debbie. My team is still working on identifying him. I've actually met him before, as he was the one who provided us with Sinclair," Cecil informed Debbie, who was now revealed to be Mark's mother. How was an individual of such remarkable strength able to remain undetected for such an extended period? Debbie was asked. "I'm not sure, but at the moment he's the sole obstacle between Nolan and us," Cecil remarked, as they continued to observe through the flying orb cameras. At the Guardians HQ, "Eve, you've returned," greeted Rex, a man donning a vibrant red and yellow suit, as he approached Adam Eve with a warm embrace. "What's going on? Who is battling Omniman?" Eve inquired. "Wait, I saw him assisting Mark with those cyborgs the other day on the news," Eve remarked after observing the screen. "Whoever it is, they must succeed if we are to survive," said a young Rex. Naruto's perspective. I firmly grasp Omniman's mouth, reminiscent of Injustice Superman's actions towards Shazam, and unleash my heat vision. However, to my surprise, he swiftly raises his arm, causing my attack to pass through him and strike his eyes. In agony, he lets out a piercing scream and retaliates by delivering a forceful kick to my stomach. I felt a surge of anger as I prepared to bring him back down to earth. As I landed my punch, I couldn't help but notice the towering mountains in the distance. He creates a deep indentation as blood starts to trickle from his mouth. I approach him in a calm and composed manner, observing his injuries and the state of his torn suit. It is evident that his bruises are gradually healing, albeit only on the surface. He gives me a stern look. "I will harm you," he gasps as I approach him and firmly grasp his left arm. "I am prepared whenever you are," I stated confidently, delivering a powerful blow that sent him flying and swiftly following up with a strike to his chest, causing blood to spill from his mouth. I proceed to deliver a forceful blow, causing additional blood to flow and a few teeth to be dislodged. "Stop," Mark yelled, his body covered in blood. "What occurred to you? Are you injured?" I inquired professionally. "When he sent me into the city, I accidentally collided with a building, causing it to collapse and resulting in injuries to some of the people I was trying to rescue," he explained, his voice trembling. With a heavy heart, he slowly removed his mask, tears streaming down his face as he began to weep. I observed Omni-Man and took a step back as Mark approached him. "Dad," he exclaimed as he collapsed to the ground, venting his frustration by striking the earth. I extend my left arm forward as Omni-Man's heartbeat gradually decreases. I help him regain enough strength to stand up, although he does so unsteadily and expresses discomfort with every movement. "Mark, the Viltrum Empire will improve Earth," he said, clearly in distress. Mark stood up and delivered a forceful blow to his cheek, causing noticeable pain this time. Despite his actions, I choose to extend my efforts towards healing him once more. Mark firmly grabs and compels him to make eye contact. "I couldn't care less about Viltrum," Mark said icily as he swiftly brings him down to the ground. I provided him with sufficient healing for the time being. "Just go," Mark said as he departs. I provide him with additional healing so that he can safely depart. He forcefully strikes the ground in frustration and then shifts his gaze towards me with a hint of anger, which quickly dissipates. He soars up into the sky and ventures into the vastness of space. I had to let him go for one reason: the chance to face additional Viltrumites. 3 hours later, the time had passed. Naruto Pav. I used my telekinesis to lift the rubble and safely rescue the people trapped there. I am currently assisting individuals in the local vicinity. During our altercation, Omni-Man forcefully hurled Mark and caused significant damage to several buildings. I can perceive individuals trapped beneath the debris and even discern their cries. I observe Mark effortlessly lifting a car that had fallen on top of a woman. I approach the scene and direct a healing orb towards her. providing gradual healing over time. I will go over to the emergency tents that they have put up and begin healing others as much as I can. Send them my way, I informed him confidently. All right, I will, he admitted with a tinge of guilt. I went over and started helping as many people as possible. After a span of 5 hours, time has passed. I have successfully treated over 2,000 individuals, while others only required minor care for their bruises and cuts. After completing the healing for the last individuals, I felt completely exhausted, both physically and magically. After returning, I should dedicate more time to honing my healing magic skills. The thought of someone crossed my mind. Oops, I forgot about Jean. And Hera as well, I suppose, I thought to myself, feeling a bit fatigued from today. Just as I was preparing to depart, while enjoying a brief respite amidst the clouds, a voice beckoned me. Wait, exclaimed Cecil as he hurried towards me. May I ask what you're looking for? I expressed frustration. Who are you, truly? He inquired with skepticism. I already mentioned that I am Superman, I replied. He let out a deep sigh. Excuse me, but I would appreciate some clarification regarding your identity and intentions. I am keen to avoid any potential issues similar to the Omniman incident. He spoke with a serious demeanor. What I desire is to return home, and I assure you, I have no intention of launching an attack on Earth. The ruling of your planet holds no interest for me, and if Omniman were to return or his people were to arrive, I would handle the situation accordingly. I took precautions to eliminate any traces of my blood, a task made effortless by the extraordinary power of my dimensional abilities. In fact, I possess the ability to transform deceased cells into dust, ensuring that no DNA is left behind. That doesn't exactly inspire confidence, he remarked. I let out another sigh. Listen, I am acquainted with Mark. If you want to know more about me, you can ask him. I trust him more than I trust you, I said, recalling something that made me facepalm. All right, I understand the situation. If you assist me in returning to my home planet, I am willing to offer my expertise in safeguarding this planet. Additionally, I will lend my assistance to Mark in harnessing his powers. Given Omniman's absence, it is likely that other empires will express interest in Earth. Additionally, the discovery of a problem with my core, which I anticipate will be easily resolved, was brought to light through the process of healing numerous individuals. Mark is just starting to discover his potential, and while he may not be as experienced as me, I can help him learn to utilize the various applications in a unique way. After considering it for a few minutes, he gave a nod of approval. Sure, I can assist you in returning home. However, it would be helpful if you could provide some details about the location, he responded. I have reservations about Cecil as he strongly resembles Nick Fury. See you later and make sure to reach out to Mark for my whereabouts, I informed him before departing to confront the inevitable consequences from my displeased girlfriend. In a realm within the vast Marvel multiverse, what is this connection and where does it lead to? Pondered a being, filled with trepidation, as they contemplated the minuscule yellow thread that extends beyond the boundaries of their familiar world into the realm of eternity. We must eliminate it, stated a concerned female voice, identified as Infinity. I suggest we adopt a wait-and-see approach, remarked another woman, who appeared to be a human dressed in revealing attire. Despite her stunning appearance, her face bore a displeased expression. No, I will dismantle it. The blast created by Eternity suddenly vanished as a four-faced golden entity spoke up. You are to do nothing, ordered the living tribunal. Why? Inquired Eternity. It is not within your purview to inquire about the reasons behind the existence of this string. However, be aware that any attempts to transgress or dismantle it will result in your removal and replacement. Expressed, intimated the living tribunal, demonstrating an unprecedented display of power that surpasses any previous recollection. You have been granted immense power, Death exclaimed, taken aback by the newfound level of authority. Yes, he responded as they all departed without uttering another word. A small gray string appeared to trail alongside the yellow one, soon joined by a green one with purple and another with black. However, each string vanished after a while. Back in the invincible multiverse, an expert robotic being crash landed on a desolate planet, promptly began making preparations to incorporate the planet into its collection. An individual crash landed on a desert planet, illuminated by the vibrant rays of an orange sun as they regained consciousness. A symbol on their chest, bearing the letter Z, became visible. Their eyes glowed with a fiery red-orange hue, and their face contorted with intense anger. An individual with a distinct appearance arrived on a planet resembling Earth and proceeded to cause widespread destruction upon landing, engaging in violent acts that resulted in the loss of many lives. Stay tuned for more. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to hit that like button and smash that subscribe for more amazing videos, and of course, drop a comment down below to let me know your thoughts.